Aquarius, welcome back to your January 2024 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, you might find that this resonates for you. I hope you had a peaceful holiday season. Thanks for tuning into the channel and joining me. It's Romy here. So we're going to open up this month with the energy of the Empress. Now, Mercury will station direct on the 2nd. And we'll also see Mars moving into Capricorn on the 4th. And so the beginning of the month for you feels all about an internal discussion around purpose and possibility. And what the Empress is really saying here is, can you reflect on how you're doing what you love, what you feel called towards, what is like an imprinted part of the very essence of you? How you doing that impacts people around you, because there's a key to this. There's an answer to something that wants to be revealed. And, you know, this is a month where there are no hard and fast rules anymore. It's about seeking experiences that are instinctive and really allow you to put that deeper trust in your own knowing. I think the Empress is also, for you, through the course of January, going to be, in some ways, rejecting the status quo. Really just moving to her own dance and to her own rhythm. Now, Mars in Capricorn brings a dose of realism through. And, you know, it's worth noting that this year, numerology-wise, is a number 8 year. So we are going to be developing in a really profound way new levels of personal power, and it's about us seeking that balance. And remember, you don't find balance, you create it. Yeah, so we need to start as we mean to go on, but there's a almost approach and an attitude that's needed early on in January for you to be specific and realistic, but at the same time also recognize the spiritual warrior that you're becoming, because the growth in your spiritual path has been so epic through the course of 2023, albeit with much emotion and much confusion and disorientation at times. So what does this year hold for us, and how is this month of January setting us up for that? Well, it's certainly set to help deliver more of what it is that you are trying to manifest, but through your determination. So you prosper from the depth of your awareness, your willingness to absorb information, from moving from these states of panic to peace, and really appreciating that some of the greatest losses that you've had have become your greatest lessons. So 8 years really tell us, you know, we get out what we put in. And there's a degree of mastery that's coming forth from that. Now, the Empress, along with the 5 of Cups, also tells me, you know, I have this sense of like, you know, someone sees something in you, Aquarius, and it will be revealed. It will come to light in January. And so, you know, what they're asking of you or what they're suggesting to you, you may feel like, well, that's impossible, or I don't see myself in that light. And yet this is exactly what's being asked for you, to step up and really kind of take that position. And it may be that you're still navigating the kind of hangover energy of whatever 23 delivered to you. And of course, there's some grieving, there's some emotional loss or some sense of setback or disappointment that might still be acutely fresh in your mind. And yet, hear me when I say, like, through the course of this month, when one, and even more, because I feel like it's going to kind of happen in that way, you know, you just keep hearing the same message from different people, you know, when they are saying to you, why are you not doing this? Or I really see you in this way, or, you know, you're being fed these messages and insights that you know yourself, if you really kind of gave that permission to let it in, is exactly what you should be doing, or how you should be acting, or how you should see yourself. Okay? And so this month then says, to what degree am I prepared to go out on a limb for what I believe in and what I want for myself? And I think your mantra really for January, Aquarius, is about matching intention with action. And you can't do superficial, you know, it's not about you just skimming the surface of life. You know, you're really needing to feel like you're getting into the bones of things. And that begins in January. And so, you know, sometimes forever, or what we think is forever, is far shorter than what we think. And so we must become deeply aware and appreciative of what we have and what is around us. And, you know, it feels to me that the sense of what might be going on for you could be directly connected or linked into some sort of family dynamic or family situation. But you must hear that it's not something that ends up kind of hijacking the entirety of the month. So what I'm being shown is that we might have like a short, kind of very intense period where something that comes up or needs to be dealt with or discussed happens, and it's kind of short and fast. And, you know, remember, Mars in Capricorn is just really helping kind of give direction, but it also brings in this groundedness and this level-headedness that I think can be so helpful to sort of temper slightly the impulsiveness and the rashness of Mars, and the way that it works sometimes in other signs. So I think that how you handle a situation perfectly sets you up to then also recognize and see yourself in a different light. So it's all kind of like connected, even though you might be having like very different conversations with different people. You know, you're going to quickly see the sort of pattern that seems to be revealing itself to you, if you like, through this month of January, and how you're being directed and guided and what you're being in some ways kind of set up for. And it's also a month where we have to just kind of appreciate the contrast. You know, we can be direct with people, but also very kind. We can be fiercely independent or be seeking independence, but also know that we really need support. And even where people are seeing things in you and perhaps asking you to be that leader in some capacity or another, you can still need and seek guidance. So it's just the realization here that you don't have to be all one way and experience like just that sort of, that rigidity almost of having to align to just one specific type of energy. Far from it. So the new moon Capricorn arrives on the 11th of the month at 20 degrees. And there's some interesting conversations with Neptune and Uranus taking place. And so where we have this opportunity for a new beginning, it feels quite transcendent. Like the freedom that we're seeking is coming in on a different level. And even the conversations that we're having are very progressive. And what I do really like about January, but you know, even in its entirety, like through the year, is this sort of melting pot, if you like, this coalescing of doing the work and being super realistic and grounded and facing things in a very kind of open, honest, true way. And yet also having this highly developed spiritual awareness and discernment that allows you to trust more deeply and open yourself up to the guidance and the direction in terms of the energetic experience that you're having. So these two things, like, you know, and it's how we are moving forward on a collective level, you know, are so special, and they're highlighted quite beautifully really around this new moon Capricorn. So you have some interesting conversations that I feel are going to be taking place around that time. Again, people saying that they're, you know, seeing something in you, but you also might have some direct interest from somebody around that time. And why you may feel uncomfortable, perhaps you're not used to being the center of attention, or it's been some time since you were kind of asked specific questions, or you felt, you know, that you were in a position where you could share something. So there's a vulnerability that I sort of pick up that comes in around that new moon in terms of what's being asked or presented to you. And, you know, it's not because it's negative, far from it. It just feels like it kind of gets you into an energy state that perhaps you haven't felt or experienced for some time. But remember, this is an opportunity for you to be harnessing that Capricorn energy. So as you think about what you have to do and what you have to accomplish and what you have to make as a priority, please also consider what you are no longer willing to allow or accept or tolerate, and that to be as an important a list around that new moon and the new year's setting of goals, if you like, if that's something that you enjoy to do, as much as the things that you do want to, sort of aspire to, okay? Now on the 12th, we've got Juno, asteroid goddess, shifting retrograde in Virgo. And this is an interesting one. Now we understand Juno connects into contracts, marriages, partnerships, agreements, and moved into the sign back in October of 23. But in her retrograde, she's going to be highlighting some of the potential challenges existing within certain connections and certain agreements that you have in your life. And it's not meant to make life difficult for you, although, you could be feeling that way a little bit. But what it's meant to do is kind of really highlight where there's work to do. And because it happens just right on that new moon energy, you will get a reveal around that time. And it could be for some of you connected into the King of Wands. So your ability to be able to vision, to plan, to execute, and to kind of really bring something to life might be being hindered, or you're being shown what the potential issues are that could arise. And so, we then have an opportunity to kind of take a step back and not to come in with an overly critical or harsh judgmental perspective, which is super easy when we sort of envelop ourselves in Virgo energy, but rather to make a plan to say, okay, well, I know that this is now what, is going to be the things that are going to potentially trip us up or me up, and what can I kind of consider at this moment to really allow this to keep progressing. And it's about the consistent progression, because that's what these two are really telling me. Like, we don't want to stop and give up. What we want to do is just take a step back and be like, okay, this feels like a perhaps insurmountable mountain or an impenetrable wall, or like a non-negotiable that cannot be overcome. But there will be, because this retrograde is just highlighting everything. And when she stations direct again, you will find that a lot of these things come to a point of resolution. So keep this in mind, okay? And then we have on the 14th, Mercury shifting into Capricorn. So, again, the way that we are able to communicate and how we're thinking. Remember, like, Mercury is really helping us explore different ways of thinking, and we embody the sign and the traits that it has. So again, in Capricorn, we're being more realistic, we're being more specific, more direct, more grounded, more real. And again, all of this helping so that you don't lose it, you don't become too emotional. And what we're seeing here is then this whole theme for you of the month around purpose and possibility also taking on this feeling where it's like, okay, I know what I want and I know what I have to do. And that clarity, like giving an awful lot of peace of mind and a level of stability that I think is going to hold you incredibly well through January, but even throughout the entirety of this year, if you will let it. Now then, of course, we're going to have the sun shifting into your sign as your solar returns arrives on the 20th. And big news, of course, Pluto coming out of Capricorn, coming into Aquarius until the 2nd of September, before it dips back in for a final soiree in Capricorn and then fully anchors into your sign on the 19th of November. Death is certainly the right card. Transformation will be felt at a deep level. You've already been somewhat prepared earlier in 2023 to kind of feel into what that experience is going to be like. There's a relentlessness to working with Pluto in our sign, but it's also incredibly powerful as it helps you to journey and to navigate pathways that, previously you wouldn't have been or wouldn't have felt as equipped to be able to handle. So you're going to feel that energy shift really profoundly. And as it's, arriving right in the solar returns for you as well, there's a lot going on in your thoughts and in your mindset toward the end of January. we definitely want you to be open-minded through this month and to see and feel your way into what is being asked of you without jumping to conclusions. I think that's going to be really important. And there is going to be this question that you're asking yourself of like, how do I stay driven without losing my ability to be present and deeply appreciative of what is around me? Because sometimes we're so focused on the what next that we forget what we have already, and we just don't really allow ourselves to feel its full potential or to feel the significance of what it's taken to get to this point. Now we've got a full moon coming in Leo on the 25th at 5 degrees, with a bit of a standoff with Jupiter. This is a loud, say it loud and say it very proud, energy. And so, you know, there is this kind of attention-seeking quality that comes through with this full moon. It's going to be incredibly helpful if you do need to perform, present, you know, bring something to everybody's focus, and words will land in a big way. But, you know, people could want to sort of amplify and really maybe take things a little bit too far around that time. And because it's sort of rooted in this attention-seeking kind of an energy, you know, that could be affecting things close to home or affecting your experience of things. But knowing and being aware that that is how the energy is triggering people, perhaps you can also give them a little bit of leeway, you know, in terms of how they might be acting or responding around that time. Of course, for you in your 7th house, there's a mirroring quality. So there's something, you know, perhaps that we want to look within to see what's being triggered to kind of help us on some level. And it might be something in a very close relationship that also gets highlighted around that full moon. But it will give confidence, and I think that's also really important to say. So if there's something you have to say or you need to see kind of taking center stage or becoming the priority, then this moon energy will be super helpful for that, and very creative by way of the way it kind of taps into things, offering solutions. And there's always an earnestness and an ability to be able to genuinely speak from the heart when we wrap ourselves in Leo energy. Now on the 27th, we'll also see Uranus stationing direct. So again, sort of under the influence of that full moon. Progress requires bold action. So there is some, I think, important specific actions that you take toward the end of January that are kind of you know, the catalyst begins, if you like, under that full moon Leo. And Uranus, you know, it can kind of disrupt us a little bit for a few days as it sort of finds its new rhythm, if you like. And remember, you know, this year from a Chinese perspective, we're going to be working with dragon energy, the greenwood dragon, which is all about movement and growth. So even though there is this sense of it would be easy to become very disorientated and very distracted toward the end of the month, with everyone having something to say and wanting their time to say it, you are actually being pulled very specifically in a certain direction. And you yourself are, you know, because you're on this journey of really embracing your personal power in a new way and sort of prospering through your strength and your determination and your awareness, then, you know, there's something that you will do. Like I said, there's no hard and fast rules anymore, but you will trust in your own inner knowing. And the question, like I said, you'll be asking yourself is, you know, really to what degree am I prepared to go out on a limb here? So you might find yourself toward the end of the month really going out on a limb. And needing to kind of let that play all the way out, you know, so it's not like we're dipping our toe in the water with this. You know, it's not a year where I particularly feel you're going to be doing much of that. I think it's a kind of boldness that's required, a willingness to face things and to kind of understand like all of the permutations and all of the impact of the actions that you take, and owning them and being accountable and forging ahead and being fearless in that anyway. So purpose and possibility powerfully playing out for you. If you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards, Aquarius, we cover in the extended version of my reading. We talk for another 30 minutes or so. We'll look at a relationship card and a personal question for you as well. And just go a bit deeper into the month. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify these cards and see some of the messages that we'll also be working with in that extended reading. So we've got the Hierophant coming through. Eight of Pentacles. There's certainly a feeling overall this month of commitment and finding the things that you want to commit to. Venus also shifts into Capricorn on the 23rd, you know, so again, around that build up to the full moon, people will feel incredibly committed to what they're about to do or say, or how they're about to act, and you know, yourself included. Whether that commitment is in the right direction, well, that remains to be seen, because you know, we will separate the ego from the intention and what the higher self is really kind of trying to direct people towards. So that will be an interesting one. You've got another Empress coming through with a 10 of Pentacles here. Interesting. Queen of Cups. Could be something going on with female energies within the family dynamic or soul family, if this is not for you personally connected into blood family. Six of Wands, Nine of Swords. Let's put one more there. Chariot. Interesting. Okay, King of Wands, Nine of Cups, the Tower. Okay. Eight of Cups, the Emperor, and the Nine of Wands. Interesting. All the decks I use are always listed, Aquarius, in the comment section beneath. One more, we'll just take it. Okay, let's have a look at some oracles for you. So if you're new, Life Soul Vision is my own personal deck, and please do take the time to check out over on my website this, along with my other sacred titles and all of the offerings that I have for you, all here to support you on your soul journey. So we have Spirit Crane, Dance with the Divine, Encoded Footprints, Soul Stories. We've got Maverick of the Light, Dancer of the Shadow, and Soothe Your Soul, Rise and Love. Nothing superficial will work for you this month, but really moving forward, I think so many of the experiences that you've had have really cracked the veneer of anything that just held little depth for you, and there's a richness to your desire to want to experience things, yourself, people in a new way that's really powerful in January. You have Man holding a coin coming through, and let's pull one more oracle that we will cover in your extended reading, Aquarius. Balance. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. I hope you'll join me, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Have a beautiful month of January, and happy solar returns for those of you with birthdays this month. We'll see you again next time.